Okay, so let me tell you something a little embarrassing. I studied English for 7 years. 7 years. Grammar lessons, vocabulary notebooks, textbooks, even some online courses. And one day, I was at a cafe and a tourist walked up to me and asked, in English, "Excuse me, do you know where the train station is?" And I just stood there. My mind went completely blank. I knew the answer. I knew the words, but nothing came out of my mouth. I think I just pointed and said, "There." That was it. He walked away and I wanted to disappear into the floor. I felt so stupid. But the thing is, I wasn't stupid, I just had the wrong approach the whole time. And I know I'm not the only one. So many people feel exactly like this. You spend years learning and then the real moment comes, and you freeze. Why does that happen? I kept asking myself that question. So I started digging. And the answer hit me like a truck. I was reading about how children learn their first language, and I read something that completely changed how I saw everything. A child doesn't start by studying grammar. They don't memorize verb tenses, they just listen. For months and months before they say a single word, they are just absorbing everything around them. And then one day, the words start coming out, naturally, effortlessly, correctly. And I thought, wait, how many hours have I actually spent listening to real English? Not textbook recordings, not slow classroom audio, real English the way people actually speak. Podcasts, conversations, movies, YouTube videos. Honestly, not many at all. I had been studying English, but I had never truly lived inside it long enough for my brain to absorb it. That was the moment I realized I didn't have a speaking problem. I had a listening problem. So I made one small change. And everything started to shift. I decided to stop studying English for a while. No more grammar exercises, no more vocabulary lists. Instead, I started spending at least 30 minutes a day just listening to English, things I genuinely enjoyed. A podcast about true crime, YouTube videos about topics I was already curious about, some TV shows I liked. The first week? Honestly, it was hard. I felt like I was barely understanding anything. I kept wanting to reach for a dictionary or turn on subtitles in my own language, but I made myself stay with it. Then something interesting started happening around week 3 or 4. Phrases I had heard before started sounding familiar. Not just the words, but the rhythm, the music of the sentences. I started to feel what sentences meant rather than just translating them in my head word by word. It's a weird feeling, but a good weird, like your brain is quietly reorganizing itself without asking your permission. And then, about 2 months in, something crazy happened. I was talking to someone in English, just a short conversation, and I noticed I wasn't translating anymore. The words were just coming. Not perfectly, not fluently, but they were coming. Without panic, without freezing. I almost laughed out loud right there in the middle of the conversation. Here's what I wish someone had told me earlier. The reason most people can't speak English isn't because they're lazy or untalented. It's because the speaking came before the listening. We rush to output before filling up on input. And that's completely backwards from how the brain actually learns language. You know how when you cook, you need ingredients before you can make a meal? Listening is the ingredients. Speaking is the meal. You can't cook with an empty kitchen. Your brain needs to hear a phrase many, many times before it can produce it automatically. There are no shortcuts, but there is a right path. And the right path is this. Listen more than you study. Listen to content you enjoy. Listen at a level where you understand most, not all, of what you hear. And don't stop just because progress feels invisible at first. It isn't invisible inside your brain. Things are happening. You just can't see them yet. One more thing I want to say, and this is important. Please stop being hard on yourself. Seriously. The fact that you're still trying, that you're still looking for answers, says everything about you. You haven't failed at English. You've just been given the wrong tools. I think about that moment at the cafe sometimes. The tourist with the question I couldn't answer. If that happened to me today, I'd tell him exactly how to get to the train station. I'd probably even make small talk. Not because I studied harder, but because I finally started listening. The ear comes first. Always. Train your ears and your mouth will follow. I promised. So here's my challenge for you. Today, not tomorrow, not next week, open YouTube or Spotify and find something in English that you actually want to watch or listen to. Something fun, something interesting. Don't worry about understanding every word, just listen. Do that every day for 1 month. Then come back and tell me how your English feels. I already know what you're going to say, because the mouth follows the ear, it always does.